what came before it to what comes after it. Everybody understand what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what Hamzatul Wasl is. Unlike Hamzatul Qat, which you read all the time, there's never a time that you omit it from your reading. Your pronunciation is always pronounced. Whether it has a vowel or whether it's sukoon, it's always pronounced. Whereas Hamzatul Wasl is just used to link. You understand the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Habiba?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, this verb now is, we're in the imperative mode now. Right? So, there's only, for the imperative verb, for first form, or it doesn't matter what the form is, there's only one way. For a first form, there's two ways to read the verb. The Hamzatul Wasl. Meaning, you either read it with a kesra or you read it with a dhamma. If the vowel is a kesra or a fatha, you read with kesra. If it's a dhamma, you read with a dhamma. Right now, it's a kesra. So we're going to read the Hamzatul Wasl with a kesra now. We don't have to write it because it's not necessary. But the other thing about the imperative verb is that it's mabni ala sukoon. It must end in sukoon. Habiba?
Yes.
Look, very important. This here, right now, we end in sukoon because it's really a sukoon here. It's really a sukoon here. Right? For time, we're not going to go to, but if you go back and look back in your Musaf, if you look in there, it's going to say di, right? Di, na. Okay, we're going to come with the nas. But we need to explain something here. How do you make something, is the rule for the imperative verb is mabni, is stationary on sukoon. There are two ways to express sukoon. Two ways. Okay? Sukoon itself, or the removal of the weak letter.
Oh, okay.
Take the weak letter away. So in other words, if it's a verb that ends in a weak letter, that's how you make it mabni on sukoon, is by removing the weak letter. And look what's remaining here. That's why the point is, you see a kesra now. You don't see sukoon.
No. Okay. Move the weak.
Two ways to express mabni on sukoon. It's a true sukoon, or you remove what's weak. That's how you make it mabni on sukoon. In other words, if it was a word like, let's say kataba, let's say ijlis, let's keep the same vowel sequence. Jalasa, right? Jalasa, right? Then we have what? Yajlisu, right? Everybody with me? Yajlisu, right? Jalasa, yajlisu. Everybody people with me?
Yes.
And then if we come here, we this past, present, now we want the imperative, right? So we say, we take away our prefix marker, right? And we with this now. Right? And we got to make it mabni ala sukoon. That's the true way of showing sukoon. You put an actual sukoon. But if it's a verb that has a long vowel in it, if it ends in a long vowel, you remove the long vowel itself. And then the word itself, look, you see, that's why the kesra is retained. Ihdi is the imperative.
Oh, so you do
Ihdi,
pronounce
with
that.
kesra.
Oh,
We removed the long, that's made mabni on sukoon.
Okay.
Taking away the yeah is what made it long. But the kesra, that's what, if you look in your musaf, you see the kesra there. But if we was to ask you, tell us about it, we would say that is an imperative verb, mabni ala yeah, meaning removal of the yeah. It's mabni ala sukoon. And how do we make it mabni on sukoon? By removing the yeah, the long vowel. Okay? So now, in the ayat it says, ihdina. Ihdina means what? Guide us. If you want to say guide him, if you want to say, oh Allah, guide him. Oh Allah, because we want to learn how to speak. We want to just say guide him. We come back to oh Allah in a moment. Guide him. How you say guide? Imperative
Had
verb.
Ihdi.
Ihdi.
Ihdi who?
Ihdi.
Who?
It should be ihdi who, but we say because it's easy.
Ihdi.
Ihdi. Oh, no,
Ihdi he. Because it's easier to pronounce.
Oh, okay. That's
Like
right.
sallallahu
I
alayhi.
remember that.
Right? It should be ihdi who, but it's easy to say
It comes out
ihdi
hard.
he.
Ihdi he.
Allah guide her. Just say guide her.
Ihdi ha.
Ihdi ha. Allah guide you.
Ihdi ki. Ihdi ka.
Ihdika or
Ihdiki.
Allah guide me.
Ihdi.
Ihdini. Allah guide us.
Ihdina.
Ihdina. Oh Allah. How you say oh Allah?
Yeah.
Allahumma.
Allahumma.
Or you can say yeah Allah, but it's now we want to say Allahumma.
Yeah.
Allahumma. Guide me. Guide me. How you say? Come on, you said it, girl. Oh, go ahead, girl.
Yo, what? He stopped everything. He heard that over everything else.
Allahumma.
Yeah, my baby talking over there. All right, how you say Allah guide me? Allahumma.
Dini.
Allahumma.
Ihdini.
Ihdini. But now look, we just said this is the time how we practice the Hamzatul. If we brought the verb first, we have to read the Hamzatul Wasl. Ihdini. But now it's coming. We don't want to read the Hamzatul Wasl. We want to merge. So if we bring Allah's name first, Allahumma. Allahumma. Right? We still write it. It's still written. Ihdi. Right? So this is Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl tells us to join, to merge what came before the Hamzatul Wasl to what comes after. So we're going to go from the meme to the ha with sakun. That's the reading now. Allahumma.
Mahdi.
See, we came here. Sister
Yeah, yeah.
Akila. We came here. That's the Hamzatul Wasl. That's how Hamzatul Wasl works.
Okay.
Right, we come right over to here. We don't stop here because that's not correct reading. We don't say Allahumma. We could say for training purposes, we say Allahumma ihdini. But the correct way of saying it, Allahumma
Dini.
dini.
Allahumma
Dini. Allahumma dini. Right? Everybody got that? So how you say Allahumma guide us? I mean guide me.
Allahumma Dini.
Allahumma.
Mah.
If you want to say, oh Allah guide us.
Allahumma Dina.
Allahumma dina.
Oh, okay.
Fiman. Fiman. With who? Allahumma dini. Fiman. Alright? How do you say you got it? You got it. We're still talking to Allah, but we want to say you got it. The verb, we're going to go ahead and take this last line and I'm going to stop. Sa'akif. Sa'akif. See the same for future? Sa'akif. I was in.
Sa'akif?
Sa'akif. I'll stop. Or sa'antahi. Okay? What do we say that this aleph maksur is really a what?
Aleph.
It's really an aleph. Meaning, and so therefore it's really a long vowel.
Long vowel.
So in the past it's long, so in the present it's long. But this verb is long at the end. Sometimes you have the verb where it's long in the middle. So you have to be aware of those changes, okay? So, we said now, when we put the attached pronoun on here, what happens to this aleph maksur? It turns back to a regular aleph. Right? Everybody with me? Now, when I put, if we want to say, if we want to say you, I mean this just happened to be this verb, but just for instructional purposes, when we make the verb mukhatab or mutakallim, meaning if we put the tab, t, to, or the noun on it to say you, I, or we, right? That's mukhata or mutakallim. That, this aleph maksur turns to the letter yeah. Turns back to the letter yeah. It's a little complicated. It's complicated. Turns to a yeah. So in other words, if we wanted to say, you got it, you did it, right? We would say, hadaita. Hadaita. Right? Hadaita. Hadaita. Right? The ta is meaning you. I'm only here explaining you how we got the yeah now. Right? Because that's what it really is here, although, you know, but, right? So when we put ta on any verb like this here, trying to think of, see, if we had verbs and we could, see, I can't, anybody know the verb to run?
No.
You know the word, what's the word to
I know
run?
that one too.
Jara. Jara means to run.
I know falata, but I know it don't mean run.
Okay? Jara. But the point is, verbs, the point is this here for us though, for the day, so we can, verbs that end in an aleph maksur,
Oh.
right? That's what I'm talking, those kind of verbs, they're verbs that end in an aleph maksur, right? When we put, right? If we wanted to put the pronouns who, ha, ka, ki, those pronouns on the past tense verb, that aleph maksur turns back to an aleph.
Okay.
Okay? That's the first thing we want to see. Okay? Then when we go to the present tense on these same verbs, Ali,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't quite get the first part you said. And on the past tense?
Past tense, right? This aleph maksur turns back to a regular aleph. Right? When we want to say, like, of course it don't make sense here, but here you can see the meaning. Like, hada means to God.
Yeah.
So he guided him.
Okay.
Right? So that aleph maksur turns back to a regular aleph.
Okay.
For writing purposes now, because we can't do this here. Look, had that and then put like that. That's why. See, that's how the writing will look, and we can't do this in Arabic. There's no reason to write the aleph shortened now. Right? Because something comes on the end of it. That's why it goes back to the regular aleph, and then we know that nothing is attached physically. It doesn't, for writing, you can't physically attach anything after aleph.
So in the past tense verbs that end in that aleph mixora, we're using the aleph mixora
Until you add something on the end
until
of
we
it. Is
add
that
something to it to change it.
Right.
But in the present tense verbs that end in the aleph mixora, we change it to a yeah because
We're still here now. We're still coming back here. But look, what happened is this here. If we say
This is amazing.
had, nope, I wrote the word wrong, right? Real quick, okay? And we're gonna pick up on this next time, inshallah. Had, if we say this here, had, that's aleph maksur, right? If we say this here, had that, ta. Can't say that. Had that, ta. Can't say had that, t. We can't say that. Had that, too. That's not the verb. Because the verbs, at the very least, we still need our 3 letters.
okay.
At the very least. And so what happens is this here. This aleph now, remember we always tell you that when you have a weak verb, right now this is probably the first encounter we had when we had a weak verb where it's weak on the end. Weak can occur in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. We starting on the end. But weak can occur in the beginning, it can occur in the middle, and it can occur in the end. We done seen some verbs where the weakness is in the middle.